I'm going. Hey, Charles, tell Jason to take his line off mute. The
It's
other
off.
Jason. Okay. Hey, Jason.
Hi, how are
What's
you?
going on, sir?
Hey.
Not too much, not too much.
All right, nice to meet you.
You too, sir.
All right.
All right. I don't see Bruce
So
no
we
more.
live. We live. We
All
live.
right. Awesome.
I'm here.
Awesome.
I'm here.
Okay. Cool. That's what's up. Good evening, gentlemen.
What up?
Good evening.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. The ladies are just a little bit late for church. Amen. But they should be popping in, popping in with us in just a hot second though. On a serious note, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Groovy.
Good. If y'all can go ahead and like, share, and go ahead and share on your page for your followers to see you guys on your live.
Share to a page.
Yeah, share to your page. Jason, you should be yours. I don't know whether yours pops up or not. I'm not sure.
I think it does. I don't know.
Okay. Bruce.
Hey, I'm back. You guys see me?
Yes, sir. We see you.
Okay.
We see you. We are live and in color.
Woohoo!
All right. Well, we're gonna pray real quick and get started, you guys. So we definitely can go ahead and get crunked. Jason, you still with us?
Yes,
I'm
I
here.
am.
Can you see me? Oh, the other Jason. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the other Jason. Okay, so how we gonna do the name? Because we got two Jasons in the building. How we gonna
We
do
could
this?
do whatever you like.
You just use Jason number 1, Jason number 2. Keep on going.
My last name is Williams. You can call me J Dub. That'll make it easy.
Yeah. Okay. JW. Yeah.
Okay, JW. All right, cool.
Yeah.
That's how we'll roll.
Call that brother. You can call that brother Barry White.
Right. Yeah.
That brother J Baritone.
Right.
Yeah. He ain't playing around.
Okay, JW, we can't see you.
You can't see me. Hold on, maybe I did something wrong.
Your video. I think you must have hit the video button.
Let me go back. I don't know what I did.
Yeah, we can hear you.
How about now?
There you go.
There you go.
All right. Okay. All right. All right, you guys, we're going to pray real quick and we're going to get started, okay?
Mhm.
All right, Father, we thank you for this opportunity once again, God, to be able to edify, encourage, and enlighten your people. We appreciate you bringing us together yet again, Father, for another topic, and help us, Father God, to be good stewards of this time. Bless the hearers and also the actual sharers on tonight, God. Continue to strengthen us, guide us, and give us clear direction as we proceed in this endeavor to do what you have created us to do, and that is to ultimately win souls through our life and how we live and how we lead. And we appreciate you, we love you, and we honor you today. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 All right.
We said prayer, not crusade. Go ahead, keep on.
Oh,
You know what?
getting started already.
Let me just go ahead and say, let me go ahead and say this on tonight. You know, you can tell when the people have been backslidden on tonight. When they start talking crazy on tonight. All right, you guys. So this topic is another juicy one, as always. This is a real controversial topic, and of course, we know that the big S word is something that we all have had some form of experience with. If we came from somebody who did something to get us here. So every human is affected by the big S word. Because I'm not gonna call y'all out and say, I know you did what you did last summer and all that. I ain't gonna call y'all out. I'll let y'all slide on tonight.
I came through osmosis.
You know what? See, here go one already. Okay. But seriously, we all are affected by this. So definitely, I thought it would be a good topic for us to talk about. So I'm going to read the narrative real quick, and we're going to dive right in with the intros and get it moving. In the saga of relationships comes an abundance of decisions, one of which is consummation and the art of knowing when to do it. From the physical to the spiritual to the physiological comes various viewpoints and ideas. Can fulfillment of human need prior to marriage create a bond between two lovers and set a stage for their future? Or can they share a monogamous platform of intimacy without being judged or criticized for their decision? Could this be a contributing factor to the building blocks that lead to marriage, or could it be considered a catastrophe waiting to happen? Can the
Mm.
art of physical expression before marriage be the one thing that is tearing down the foundation of marriage? Join us as we talk about the topic, sex before we say I do. Is it a building block or is it a barrier?
Mm.
So let's do the intros real quick. We have the usual suspects in the building. That would be Bruce and Dr. Love over there to my immediate left or right, whichever way the computer is. Dr. Love and Bruce. Y'all say hello
Mm.
to the people on tonight.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Bruce, you all right? You fanning over there? We ain't even said that yet.
I feel the room heating up already.
My
Yeah.
Lord, my Lord.
I feel the room
And
heating up.
then we have the duo of the Jasons on this evening. We got Jason out of Houston, Texas, one of the usual suspects who've been in hiding, just getting out of, HPD, just let him free. Jason Thibodeau in the building.
You're gonna have people thinking I got arrested for real.
Well, Charles can't be incarcerated every week. And then we have another one of my friends, Jason Williams, Mr. Bass Player. Doom.
Mm-hmm.
What up?
Right.
What's going on?
How you doing,
Good.
sir? Welcome.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All righty. So now that we've done the introductions, JW, since you've been
Yes.
baptized, we're gonna put you in the water first.
Okay.
And
So
there it is.
So let me ask you a question.
hmm
With this concept of thinking, do you think that premarital sex is one of the reasons why our unions are not lasting? Or do you think that it is actually a building block for the companionship and the union to press forward into the ideal concept of marriage or, long-term commitment? For some, marriage is not the end game. For some, it's just the commitment concept. So what's your thoughts about this topic, Jason?
I have various thoughts on it, to be honest with you, because there are, I would say, two schools of thought,
Mm-hmm.
and depending on your status and depending on your, I guess, your moral background, it varies. And I don't think it can be pigeonholed into one viewpoint or the other, but you have to know what works for you. I think for some it could be a barrier, but I also think for others, and I'll say it like this: um, if you've never had a great cut of steak, then to go to the Sizzler and get a steak is not a big deal. That's what you know. But if you go to Ruth Chris, it's hard to go back to Sizzlers and accept that steak for what it is. Same thing as it goes with sex. If you've gotten involved and have gotten deeply involved, it may be hard to not go back because, and I'm saying this from a marital perspective or going into marriage, because the realities are sometimes once you've gotten to a certain point, you know what you like, you know what your taste is. So to walk into something and not know where you are for some people could cause a problem later. Because if my appetite, I'll say it like this: if you have to fuel a Mack truck, but the only fuel you have is enough for a Yugo, there may be a problem. So like I said, it varies depending on who you're talking to and what their life experiences up until this point have led them to. Because the reality is, if it's two people that have never tasted, it'll be wonderful because that's all they know.
Absolutely.
But if you got one person that has never done it, one person that does, that could cause a problem unless someone's teaching and pliable.
Right.
Very true.
But I'll just leave it there.
Well, look at who just joined the ministry, Nicole.
What I tell you, as soon as we get started.
Right.
I can't hear you. Say something, Nicole. I can't hear you.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Yourself. Yeah, unmute yourself.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to finish eating my dinner.
Hey, ain't nobody mad at you. Ain't nobody. We just messing with you. We got to do that now. We got to do that.
Gotta eat now.
Absolutely. So, Bruce, I saw you nodding your head when Jason was sharing about the steak on tonight, as far as from the Sizzler versus Ruth Chris. Go ahead, tell us what you're thinking, Bruce.
Oh,
Um, I'm first thinking that time is money, Nicole. You better start your dinner at 8:30, girl.
man.
But good evening, good to see you.
Because she ain't offer us nothing.
It's
I
my
have
fault.
steak too.
It's my fault this time, Bruce. It really is. It's my fault this
And
time. Put it
I have
on me.
steak too.
Put it on Pete Coffee this time.
I would start off with saying that, of course, we all know at our ages and stages that biblically we are instructed not to have sex before marriage.
Uh-huh.
Now that we got that out the way, it is very challenging for those who are believers and for those who are not believers and anybody in between. It is extremely challenging not to have sex before you get married,
Absolutely.
especially in this country. In
Right.
this country, the way this American society is,
Mm-hmm.
the dynamics of sex is, of course, it's looked at the same around the world, but the societies may be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And the expression of that culture, the sexual culture here, everything is being sold. I think I seen a commercial where they were selling cigarettes with a sexy model.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So 90% of advertisements here it got something to do with sex.
Right. It's some type of sexual innuendo, some type of
Yeah,
suggestion.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that makes it even more challenging.
Absolutely, because I think it was probably a couple weeks ago. Charles put a post up about what was for women, what was the one thing that gets us, and what was the one thing that gets guys. And he was talking about the eyes being the eyes was the guys and the ears was the women, right? And so I was thinking about the fact that we got eyes and ears, and I was like, "Woo! If you combine the two forces, you're really in trouble." If you are honed in on those two forces, then you got your other three senses that kick in, the taste and the smell and all that kind of stuff. And so you can imagine if you had any kind of experience with physical expression, period, you can get set off just by smelling something. You out of gas.
Right.
Next thing you go, ooh, I remember when, oh my goodness, like kind of like interestingly enough, like Rhonda said last night on your show, when she was talking about that guy that she used to date back in the day.
She had a thought when she saw him.
Yeah, she said every time she said, "Woo, Jesus!" Like that. Seriously, that's exactly what she did last night. And it was funny because she's right. When you have that experience with someone and you move, I don't care what happens, you done moved on and you doing what you're doing, blah 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 blah. Whether you abstaining or not, waiting to remarry or whatever the case might be, that memory, whatever's on your hard drive, is gonna find its way to the frontal lobe of your brain and say, "Hey, here I am again. You try to get rid of me, but here I go." So those memories can be real dangerous too. Mrs. Dixon,
Yes.
talk to us about the memory part of this sex before we say I do concept.
The memory part. You mean just
Absolutely. If you've ever had any kind of physical expression with someone, there's a memory attached to it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
so? Are we applying? But how are we applying this? Are we applying this so it could? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, can that be a barrier, or can that be a building block as far as the experience moving forward to where somebody can benefit from you having already had the expression and the expertise, if you will?
I think once you have had the experience, and especially if it's a positive experience, it makes it like Bruce says, halfway impossible to move forward like that. However, unless I'm not saying it's impossible, I think if you both have to really strongly mutually agree that this is going to be our end result and this is what we're going to do to get there, hopefully. prayerfully, whatever your belief is, right? That's what you're going to do to get there. If not, if you just think it's going to just be okay, you can just continue as business as usual, chilling out, bunning up, cuddling, all that. You're gonna go right on to the other side real quick because you know what's there already.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's true. That's true. So in essence, what I hear you saying is if you're going to choose to kind of
Not to.
decide that that's not what you're going to do, then there has to be some restrictions in place and some limitations and some
Well, you have to be
boundaries
you have to
set.
be you have to be deliberate about it.
So
You have to be
when
deliberate.
you say deliberate, give the viewers an idea of what that looks like.
But see, now I'm going to say this. So I'm going to bring it from the old school perspective. Now,
Okay.
people are going to say nowadays, they're going to be like, whatever, that's not what we do today. But honestly, it's like it's almost unrealistic to think you can practice the same characteristics and get a different outcome. If you chilling in each other's company all the time, staying over, doing all these things, it's going to happen. So it's like if you're going to be proactive
Mm-hmm.
and change it, you got to throw some things in the mix that's going to really throw off your normal program of how you both recognize it. You got to throw something different in the mix. Maybe, okay, Bruce, I'll see you on Sunday after I come from this, and that, and we'll eat dinner, sit move, then I'm going to leave. Now, Bruce going to be like, you're going to leave? Because most of us, somebody's going to have a little physical anguish about it because your flesh want to be comfortable. So when somebody say, I'm going to go ahead and leave, no, this is for the best, we're going to wait, you're going to be like, yeah, all right, we're going to do it too. It just depends on who wants it that time. So, but you're going to have to throw
Right.
some different things in
Mm-hmm.
the mix to throw it off to be able to do it. If you keep the same routine pattern, you'll fall every time.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I hear some feedback, you guys. I just got a message that we got some feedback in the. If y'all can check your connections, it's some feedback when we're speaking. I don't know where it's coming from though.
It's coming from you. I can hear it.
It's coming from who?
You.
I'm in the feedback ministry.
As soon as you talk, I hear something.
Speaker might be too loud or something.
Something's
No.
too loud.
Is it still now?
It's like it happened. It's like It's like a delayed feedback right after you talk every time.
Yeah, you got some latency behind your voice.
My Lord, on this evening, it's my fault again.
See, that's that Samsung.
My
Yeah,
fault.
you know.
Oh,
I'm on.
oh boy.
I'm on a
Here we go
Samsung.
again.
I'm on a Samsung. I'm on
I'm
a
on a
Samsung.
Samsung too.
See, that's just dirty. That's just real. That's all. Okay.
Leave
So
it up to one of the Jasons to get it popping. Not.
You know what? Note to self. Let me write my note. Let me write me a note. We're not gonna do Jasons no more. No two Jasons no more.
Are you on your cell phone, P Coffee, or are you on your computer?
I am on my laptop, like
Okay,
I normally am.
That's
all right.
probably what.
So I'm not sure why it's got any feedback. Let me.
It's not bad. I don't think it's bad. It's okay. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know. Okay, let me see if I turn the volume down. Maybe that'll assist. Is that any better?
It's okay. I think it's gonna be what it is.
Okay.
All right.
So Nicole, you know, on,
Yes, ma'am.
on the night when we talking about having relations, my computer late, you know, really bad. So Nicole, talk to us. Share your thoughts about this topic, Nicole. You know, and I don't. Let me just prereq this by saying you don't have to tell on yourself, okay?
Oh no, I'm straight. I'm good.
Okay, well go ahead. Go ahead and tell on yourself then. So I'm just
Why don't you get the disclaimer?
No,
You get the disclaimer. You don't have to tell on yourself, baby. Everybody else though, you do.
no, I'm not gonna tell on myself, but no, I just think that the reason why we're supposed to wait until we get married to have sex, so both people don't have anything to compare it to.
That's good.
So you both learn each other, you grow into the sex, you grow, you learn each other over time. You don't have anything else. You don't know if it's bad or good or great or outstanding. You just know you're having sex with your wife or your husband. That's it.
Right.
And
But
I
what
think
about? Oh, I'm sorry.
now that everybody, having sex without it, before marriage. It's always, you can always meet somebody great,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have sex with them, and then you're like, oh, the sex is not good, so I'm just gonna throw him away or throw her away, and you miss out on being with a great person when sex is teachable, I think.
But
Mhm.
sex may be
Parts,
teachable,
you
but
need
our
parts
parts
now. Parts,
interchangeable.
not the
You
parts
understand?
now. It's the
Yeah, see,
sex.
that's what I'm talking about. See, the sex, that's what I'm talking about. See, but see, there
See
could be
what the
some
working
situations where I do hear the feedback now. You know what it is? Somebody has two devices going at once, and it's volume feedback on one of them. That's what it
Oh
sounds
no,
like.
that's not me. No, you need to at least see it.
Yeah, see, but see, it's hard for somebody to see something
Well, you
and
can. I mean,
retract.
I guess if you like, you know, kissing or dancing or something, it gets erect and you see
I
what it
mean,
looks like.
they claim if the boy can dance, he can That's
Yeah,
what they
Something.
say.
Well,
that ain't
in
necessarily
terms of
true.
using insurance terms, the likelihood is probably a little better if he can
Yeah,
dance. The same thing with
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
If you can't
come on,
yeah,
move, then you might not be
yeah,
able to move. If you
right.
come
don't,
on, Miss
But
Jason,
you,
let
I
it
Not
off.
mean, but you can
not
teach
always
somebody how
true.
to dance,
not always true.
right?
Yeah.
A little bit, some.
A little something,
Yeah,
something. Yeah, a little light something. But
Dance,
Charles, before we go to
dancing on
Jason,
the floor is a lot different than the horizontal line.
Miss Cruz is on. I think she's on mute though.
hey, Miss Cruz,
Can you guys hear me?
Now
we
we can hear you. Yeah.
can. Welcome.
Okay. Hi.
Thank you
Alrighty.
for
So,
joining us.
yeah, thank you guys. I'm so busy, but I thought to make a little bit of time and join to the show because it's a very interesting topic,
Uh huh.
right?
Yeah.
Um, a lot of times people are having sex before marriage, right? Because for some reason it seems to be like the custom, right? For humans
Yeah.
nowadays,
Right.
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 before people wait, to get married before having sex.
Right.
And I can see where, God want us to get married before having sex because there's so many reasons to protect us, not to control us. Why?
Right.
Because when you have sex before marriage, there's risks of unwanted pregnancy, right? If the
Mhm.
guy is not ready for it financially, you yourself not ready for it financially, you guys get pregnant, and then that's where abortion comes in. So
Mm.
to avoid the unwanted pregnancy and to avoid the risk of doing abortion,
Mhm.
sex before marriage is not good. Also,
Mhm.
another reason why sex before marriage is not good, for example, if the person, so to protect you from having sexual transmitted diseases, because not all disease will show in the person that they're healthy. You know what I mean? They
Mhm.
might look healthy,
Yeah.
they might not be healthy. So
Right.
in a sense, it's there to protect you too. Like, so
Right.
if you get married and then have sex, definitely you guys gonna go do blood tests,
Right.
like the both
Right.
of you will go do
Oh
blood
yeah.
work and make sure that, you guys are both clean, right?
Right.
And then you
Right.
guys can go ahead and have sex after marriage. But
Right.
if you have sex before marriage, that's why there's so many single parent home,
Right.
because one person is not ready to be a parent,
Right.
and majority of the time it's the mom that is left with the kid. It's
Right.
only occasionally we see dad being left with kids.
Right.
It's not often seen. Majority of the time it's the women. So then
Right.
women are struggling, and then kids are growing without a father. So
Right.
all of these things, sex before marriage or get married and have sex, is God will of protecting us from all of this headache. For example, a girl is a virgin, a guy is a virgin, and then if they have sex before they get married, now that person don't want to be with you later on. They want to
Mm.
be with somebody else. So to
Mhm.
save you the broken heart, wait till you know the person is mature enough for marriage and they're ready for that lifetime commitment. That way, you're not going to ever have your heart broken.
Mm.
So
Well,
it seems
that's
so
the
many things.
hope. That's the
Yeah.
hope. That's the
Right.
that's the
Right.
key word is this. And I was
Well,
hearing what you were saying, and the hope is that we don't get our heart broke, that we don't have this, that we don't have that. But if you kind of
well,
look at America, us living in America, all of that
I,
sounds incredibly good. But we live in America, and the reality of America is this. the transmission of sexual situations and stuff like that in America is just as high for single people as it is for married. The unwanted pregnancies is just as high for married people as it is for single people. There's
Yep.
no deviation of the two in America, unfortunately. So when you go and pull up statistics, there's not a whole lot of variation in what happens between married people versus single people, unfortunately. That's why the divorce rate is so high. So you have a lot of these households with single parents because they're now divorcees. And it's not that they didn't
Divorce
start
rate.
out right, it ended up wrong.
Can I just add on
Absolutely,
there?
absolutely.
The divorce rate is high. Why? Because a lot of people are getting married because of a reason. Either because they have a child together, or because the person is rich, or because they want their life to be comfortable, or because they just like the person. But
Or the
in the
sex is good.
Bible,
Yeah.
Or the what now?
Bible God said,
Or
Still
the
the
That
sex
all
truth.
is
sound like
good.
valid reasons.
Yeah.
the only reason why a man and a woman should ever be married is love. Why love should be the only thing? Because love bears all things, endure all things, forgive all
Yeah,
things.
I disagree
Love
with that.
does not die. So a lot of people are mistaking deep likeness for love. You get what I'm saying? Just because they
Mhm.
don't like
Lust,
somebody doesn't
yeah.
mean they love the person.
Right.
But love go beyond just liking somebody. It go beyond understanding. It go beyond. It's sacrifice. That's what love is all about, sacrificing. And a lot of people don't get it. So because of that, when the relationship hit rock bottom, when they're struggling, both of them, one person will say, you know what, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. I don't think I love you anymore. There is no way ever in the dictionary you can find a word that says dislove. But you can always find the word dislike, meaning that you can like someone and you can dislike that person. But when you love someone, it's forever. There's no way you can stop loving that person. The day you say, I don't love this person anymore, is that you used to like them deeply enough that it felt like love, but it was never love. Because love is forgiving. Love does endure a lot of stuff, you know? So that's why a lot of divorce rate is high, because people are getting married because of love. They are getting married because they want to gain something, not love. They don't want to experience love. So that's why a lot of people are getting divorced, because the reason they came into that marriage for doesn't exist anymore. So when that reason is gone, they're also gone with the reason.
Yeah,
You get
I
what
agree with
That's
that.
good stuff.
I agree
Hey,
with
before
that.
I
I
met
tell
my
you what
husband,
though.
I
So
was a
let's
single mom. I
so
should have
hold
not
on
been a
one second,
single
Arlette.
mother.
One hot second. As soon as you get done with your statement, Jason's gonna go behind you, and then Nicole's gonna go behind him, and then we'll get the
Circle
second
back
Jason
around.
and Bruce to come
Right.
around. We're gonna do
Come
a
back
full
around.
circle. We're gonna go in a circle and just keep the circle
Yeah,
going, you guys.
yeah. So before I got married, I was a single mom. Why? When my first kid father asked me to get married to him, I know that would be every girl's joy to get married to the man they have their first child with. But I asked this guy, I said, why would you want us to get married? He said, well, because we have a kid. I said, wrong answer. If he had said, because I love you, that would have been different. But he wanted us to get married because we have a kid. Now, that's one of the reasons people are making mistakes when it comes to marriages. Okay? Just because you have a kid by somebody doesn't mean you have to marry the person if you don't love them. Because when that kid is old and grown and graduate from high school and go to university and they're independent, it's just the both of you will not stand one another. Why? Because your reason to be married is already out of the house. That kid is already gone, you know? So that
Yeah,
marriage,
yeah.
that's why some marriages last 30 years, 35 years, because it took long enough for that kid to grow. Why? Because the marriage was based on they have kids together. So just because people have kids don't mean they have to get married. You must love that person enough to want to take all of that bullshit for the rest of your life. That's what marriage is all about.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Jason.
Okay, go
I
ahead,
agree.
Jason.
Yeah.
Hit it,
I
Jason.
Well,
agree. I agree, honey.
Hit it,
well,
Jason.
hey, I'll be 100% honest with you. I pretty much agree with most of what everybody says. Yes, the
Yeah.
number one reason for sex is to procreate, and you really shouldn't be doing it. Technically, to keep you from getting STDs as well as unwanted pregnancies, etc. However, and you also brought up a good thing that, hey, you said that the only time you should really get married is if you love someone and everything else. Well, let's keep it 100. I got to like you first before I love you.
Absolutely.
And one of the things, and I agree with what Mr. Charles was saying as well. If you spend enough time with somebody, you're gonna like them. You're gonna probably have some form of lust, and at some point, you either gonna love them or you're not.
Right.
So, because I agree, if you spend too much time with me, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're gonna have a situation.
Right.
That's just my demeanor, and I mean, we're gonna have a blockbuster night. I'm aging myself there. We can have a little Netflix and chill, but something's gonna happen if you're probably not gonna finish the movie.
Right.
The second thing is, she brought up another good point, and she was talking about, well, you really shouldn't get married unless you're in love. Well, I agree with that, but you know what? After you fall out of the lustful, I'm in love phase, you still have love. I agree with that. Now, let's just be honest with each other. The number one reason for divorce is marriage. It is what it is. All right. I mean, that's just the logic, right? So, I mean, of course, if you don't get married, then of course, then the divorce numbers stay where they stay. Let's just call it what it is. So you still, like you were saying earlier, Peacock, you got a lot of married people who are doing stuff. You got a lot of single people who are doing things as well. Now, she mentioned talking about, well, if you get a divorce, then that means you probably really didn't love that person and everything else. Let me tell you something. I can love you. And if you get on my nerves enough, I'm going to love you from a distance. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we can get divorced. I'll still love you over there. You know what I'm saying? So, and then also, and I agree that, yeah, you probably should wait to have sex in a relationship or whatever the case may be. But I also come from the faithful, I'm going to test drive a car before I buy it, because I wouldn't care if it was a $300,000 Lamborghini. I might like the body. I might like the sound. I might like the smell of the leather on the inside. I might like the way the engine sound and everything else. You know what I'm saying? However, I may not like the ride when I test drive.
Wow. Wow.
Right.
All right. Nicole, dive on in there, girl.
She kind of like, whoa.
But if you never drove a car before and you jumped into that Lamborghini, you're going to feel like that's the best ride you ever had. So it all depends.
Yeah.
There's some truth to that. I agree.
I'm just saying, like, when you think about it overall, like, if you never had, like, if the two people never had sex, I think they should wait to marriage. Period. But after you already done had sex, it defeats the whole purpose of not having sex. Like, it just does.
Yeah.
It just does. You got kids, and then now you know I'm celibate now. That's crazy. Like,
a little bit too.
Now you're gonna make them wait? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
I get on women all the time about them. Oh, I'm celibate now. You got 4 kids. Like, when you got kids? Like, when did you decide you want to be celibate now?
Hey, if you already got 4 kids, then she already sold a bitch.
You want a good man to wait for you or come and take you all your kids? Like, that's doing too much. Maybe she'd have waited, before. I mean,
yeah. I think if someone is a virgin, they should wait. They shouldn't rush into sex.
I agree.
And like you said, if you're not a virgin anymore and you already had sex before, don't make that person wait.
It's kind of stupid. I mean, I know it's religious belief. You might found God afterwards, and you know what I'm saying. But I still think it's a lost cause to wait.
Doing it or wait.
Mr. Bruce, come on, Mr. Bruce. I see your wheels spinning.
You know they spinning.
I think that,
I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Go ahead, Brucey.
I think that because we rush through life, we don't slow down enough
I get it.
to realize this particular dynamic that I'm about to share. Love, in my opinion, is not a feeling.
Right.
No, it is not.
Right.
It is not.
Love is a series of actions,
Mm-hmm.
a series of stances or postures that we take, a series of positions and behaviors that we take that may produce a feeling. So in our relationships, the only feelings that we feel are the physical ones. One of the reasons why, and this my opinion. One of the reasons why we love movies, love stories, where we see the people having these deep conversations and these deep intimate exchanges, these deep dialogues. One of the reasons why we love that on TV is because we don't do it in real life.
We don't see them argue.
We do not have in our relationships, and not just our romantic relationships, y'all, even with our friends. How often do we have real, intimate conversation in which we show vulnerability? Hey, I called you and you didn't answer the phone. I was afraid that you didn't want to be my friend anymore. I was worried. I was concerned that you didn't want me. You know, that type of dialogue, real intimate dialogue. We don't do that.
Right.
Charles, we don't do that, Charles.
No.
We don't say what's really going on in the heart. We usually cover it up with some slick talk or some anger or whatever the case may be, or Facebook. You know, we write posts on Facebook, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
We don't have intimate dialogue.
Right.
However, so we hide. We hide, and we don't have intimacy, but we have sex.
Wow.
Lots of sex.
I think that's one of the main reasons why many of us are breaking up.
I agree.
You're right.
Because if we are vulnerable with each other and intimate with each other, then we know what we're dealing with, the real raw person. But since we don't do that, we sex our way through relationships. And after a while, it gets old.
Yeah.
I agree.
JW.
I
Yes, sir.
agree 100%.
What you think, JW?
Microwave relationship.
Yeah.
I would like to just say that the main problem with our relationships is we all have a skewed perception of what love really is.
Right.
I agree with Bruce 100%. Love is not a feeling. And I think because of the movies and because of the way society teaches us what love is, we think it's some emotional high that you get. And once you hit that high, you don't ever want to come down. But I could love you and not want to sit next to you.
True.
That's still love.
Right.
And I think when we really get to the point where we understand agape love, which is no matter what you do to me, I still love you. That's when relationships are fixed. But when we're dealing with this sexual thing, a lot of people use sex to cope with issues. Like Bruce said, a lot of people use sex to get over stuff instead of having the conversation. Like Bruce said, you throw in, okay, we had an argument, let's have sex, and never talk about it. You sweep it under the rug, and you never see it again. It never gets out. So you just pile up with issues on the internally, and it never comes out. And then when it does come out, you've got weeks, months, years of stuff piled up on your heart that if you just would have had a conversation, you might have gotten it off of you. But the problem is sometimes we can't have the conversation because people don't understand. Even though I'm having a tough conversation with you, that doesn't mean I don't love you. That doesn't mean I hate you. That just means I'm just trying to tell you my heart. And a lot of times people can't receive everybody's truth.
Right.
Teach, brother.
If I can take your truth and accept it for what it is, then then I love you just as much as you love me.
Right.
But a lot of times the problem is because we don't know what love really is. Love is being able to say, look, you got on my nerves. I can't stand this about you, but I still love you. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised.
Right.
Most of the people I know, we're going to be straight up with you.
Right.
Most of the people I know from here, we're going to be straight up with you. You ain't got to like me.
Right.
But at the end of the day, some of my best friends, I can tell you, dude, you look like McGilla Gorilla, and we still go eat. We could argue and be ready to fight. 5 minutes later, yo, where we going to eat at?
Right.
Because the reality is that's the way we are.
Right.
And when people really learn to accept each other for who they are and be willing to have those tough conversations, relationships will be better. Even your sex will be better because the reality is it's not about just the sex. we can talk. And that's
Yeah.
really the reason why divorce happens, because people can't talk to each other anymore.
Right.
We try to cover it up with coping mechanisms instead of conversation.
Right. The
I
So
agree.
disconnect.
so P Coffee.
Yes,
P
sir.
Coffee. So if I'm thinking about this way, I feel like we're having this show, period, because we have a reference point to compare a time where if this type of behavior of refraining was to happen, think about this. We got this mindset, most of us that are, if of the African American race, we get this mindset of waiting before we're married. It's more customary, it's more traditional, it's more religious based, right?
Right.
And so coming up in church, it's like you better wait to do this, that, and the other to get your person. You just pray and ask God to send them. And so what we were taught back then was both of you all were to have this faith mindset and to say, listen, if I'm not going to touch the woman, she's not going to touch me. And when we come together, the faith logic is God knows my heart. He knows my desires. He knows what will please me. So he'll send me the person that will make sure I'm okay. That's the logic. But the reality is when people sometimes back in those days, I remember couples would get together under that auspices of we waited. I remember one time a couple got married and they were like, oh, we was trusting in God and we waited a whole year. We didn't touch each other. They was divorced in 6 months. The lady said, now it was admirable to wait, but the lady was the one who blew up the spot. As soon as they were having the marriage retreats with the women and stuff, she went over there. And by the time the retreat was over, and this was a fairly large church I came up in, and the retreat was over, the lady came back to the church. The rumor was all over the church. She said his thing too small. And you sitting there like, so the thing was, they didn't see nothing. It wasn't no peekaboo. It was no touching you, do anything before you get married. It was let's have faith and believe. And when it happened, they was like, okay, we married, but oh Lord, that's why I said to you. That's why I was telling Michelle. I was telling her, I was like, listen, this thing, when you can say wait, and I'm all for people holding on to their faith. That's what you believe. But honestly, I said sometimes you can wait. But if the equipment, Nicole, if the equipment doesn't work or doesn't fit, it's an entire problem. Now the other side of that is this. Another reason why waiting doesn't work today, if we're honest, we are a very diluted people today. We're not the same people of old. The people back then, that's why you heard the grandmothers that told us all these stories of how they held on and waited. You know why? Because they followed the regimens. They was fasting. They was praying. We don't do none of that stuff today. So that's why none of us can hold up under that kind of pressure. And so the other part of it is, if you think about it, look at restaurants. This is the era of the appetizer, tapas, so to speak. Taste it, get a little bit of this, that, and the other. It's putting a culture in your mind.
Variety.
Have a variety of tastes. Don't just be stuck on one thing. And so everybody is honing in on that. And now when we go places, I'll take a little bit of that. I'll get a little bit of that too. And that's what's happening sexually. Sexually, everybody has something to compare something to. They got to turn up past about this was good, this person was sexy, she was thick, oh girl, he was big, all these thoughts. And so now when you're going forward, you just see people as sexual objects that you have options with. And so nowadays, we meet people and we say that listen, I've seen them come from the most devout Christian to the wildest club thought ever. And it's always marrying the same thing. It comes down to flesh wants to be gratified. It don't matter where you are. People are there honest, they want it. So, so we have to be honest with ourselves. If you want to be with a partner that you want to seriously say, I don't want to have this practice, you have to have a serious, like Bruce and my brother say, conversation and say, listen, where does your conviction lie concerning sex before marriage? Mm-hmm. Let them be honest. If they say, I can't, I'm going to be honest with you, I can't do that. I had somebody tell me, if that wasn't an equation, I'm sorry, but I have to be your friend. This is a woman. So this is people's mindset. So you got to have that conversation. And if they don't want it, then you agree to say, okay, well, it's not going to work for both of us. Or if not, then you just say, okay, we can both say, how about we say we're going to go hard in the paint for 1 year, and then we make our decision to move on into marriage. If not, then keep you got to do what's best for you, whatever your belief is at the time.
You know what? That's
Can we
interesting
wrap?
because we all. Okay,
Yeah.
here's another thing to piggyback off what Charles just said. When you mention from the most devout believer to the person who is all out in the streets or whatever, there's one component that that literally marries us all, and that's the component of humanity, being a human.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we try to take sex and make it into something outside of the human component.
Right.
Because everything happens naturally before anything else happens. Before any other component of our existence, it's going to happen naturally first. So I think a lot of times we try to get away from the natural function and the total process of being a human being. There's timelines of humanity. I remember when I was in the medical field, and I remember this doctor was explaining to me the timeline of your body and how it releases certain things at certain ages and it does certain things at certain times.
Right.
He was talking about how physiologically at a certain age, whether you want it to or not, your body goes and shoots off without
hyperdrive.
You don't have control over it. It's not something you can control and say, okay, stop it, body. No.
Right.
It's actually nature's way of responding to how you're supposed to be functioning. So nature's way of our response is how our body sets off. It's like the craziest thing, and I still never could wrap my mind around a scientific component as to why in the heck a guy's peak is like 20 years younger than a woman. It's the craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
So now here it is. I'm 40-something years old, and this is the time where I'm, kind of turned down and kind of chilling out, relationship, all that good stuff. But the emphasis is not the physical when my body is screaming, I want it right now.
Right.
So the discipline, what I have learned, this is what I've learned, and this is just really being transparent. I have learned to discipline myself so much so that when that need arises, I literally turn the switch off in my brain and say, yeah, I hear you talking, but unfortunately, it ain't time for that right now. So it's like mind over matter at that point, even though my body is going absolutely bananas. I mean, it's the truth. My mom told me. My mom told me this for years. She said this a lot. I mean, I was a teenager. My mom was like, my mom used to be tripping me out when she was 40-something. I'm like, what is going on? She said, I can't really tell you because you're too young to understand. But she said, my body is doing so much stuff on its own without my permission. But fortunately, she was married to my dad. But my dad was like, now that they're older and we have these conversations, my dad said, your mama was wearing me out. Literally.
Oh, wow.
I laugh at it because I'm like, what? My dad was like, your mom lost her mind when she was about 42. She lost it. It was over. It was a wrap.
Wow.
So, but what he was saying was it was natural. It's the natural body's response to what's supposed to happen at a certain time. So even if you are a virgin, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Your body still sends those signals scientifically. Scientifically, as long as you are in a body, your body still wants what it wants, regardless of if you ever expressed it or not. It's still there. The need is still there.
Right.
May I?
Go ahead, Jason.
Okay. Hey. Okay. I got different aspects of myself. Like earlier, of course, I'm clowning, just messing with y'all, having a good time.
Yeah.
Pushing the needle. That's what I do. But let's get to the deeper side of this stuff.
Right.
Number one, as P. Koffe was starting to allude to, let's break it all the way down.
Okay.
We call ourselves humans. We got all this free thought. We got cars, clothes, all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, we're all animals. Living, breathing animals. There's a certain nature that is going to be there anyway. There's certain pheromones. There's certain, you name it, it's going to be there.
Right.
So when you get around someone of the opposite sex that you find attractive, there's certain pheromones that are going to come out. There's certain things that are going to happen regardless of how you feel about it or whatever the case may be. It's just nature starting to take its course. It's not to say that you have to act on it, but it's going to be there. One of the other things that I ended up hearing, and I believe it may have been, I can't remember if it was Miss Nicole or P. Koffe hit on, and it was talking about how sex before marriage and a lot of the things that people go through, they can't handle, certain aspects of it from an emotional standpoint and everything else. And
Mm-hmm.
what I have not heard anybody say was there's a level of maturity that comes along with this.
Right.
Okay? There's a level of maturity that you go through to where you start saying, you know what, I'm not having sex to try to express myself just physically, but there's actually a connection there, and we're
Right.
bonding on a higher level.
Right.
Right.
That's when you stop, allegedly going hard in the paint, trying to bang each other's brains out, and you
Right.
can actually have a real intimate moment to where you may not have to do something wild or whatever the case may be,
Right.
but you're just in tune with that person to the point to where, like I said, there's no words that just really have to be said. I mean, there's a certain maturity that comes along with the real love. Like, I believe it was Bruce that was talking earlier, and he was saying, like, I mean, love is not necessarily just an emotion. I mean, it's a real action and everything else. And after you get past the physical aspect of it, and you actually can communicate, and that's where a lot of marriages fail, is in terms
And
of
that's what the other
communication.
Jay was. That's the other Jason said.
Exactly.
The same
So
thing. Yeah.
I'm really just kind of just re-elaborating, just saying it in a
Right.
different way what a lot has
Right.
been said today. And if you can't communicate, I can already tell you, none of your relationships are going to work. Whether it's at the job, whether you at talking to the bank teller, whatever
Right.
else. If you can't communicate, none of your relationships are going to work. You're
Right.
just walking, breathing, and you're just going through life. So
Right.
you have to be able to communicate. And that's the problem. Like when I used to mentor high school boys, that was one of the biggest issues we had. These dudes couldn't even say their name without looking down at their name tag. So
Wow.
people, hey, how you doing? My name is Jason, and you
Wow.
see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so when you're noticing this, and I used to travel a lot with previous jobs that I had, and I would sit back and people watch. People go through life and they can't really communicate. Now you have this new age of people where they'll walk up to a young lady or a gentleman, ask for their phone number, collect their phone number, walk to the other side of the room, and start texting them. You were standing right here. Why not talk right here? So
People
you can't
text at the
connect with
table.
somebody on that level, and you're right here. Why are you sleeping with them anyway?
Mm.
You right. You
So
right.
you're already selling yourself short. Like I said, there's a
Yep.
certain level of maturity that comes along with this. Yeah, I clown and I say a lot of other stuff, but there's a deep aspect to this too. If you're not mature enough to deal with the emotion that's going to come from a physical contact with that opposite sex or the person you decide to lay down with, then all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure.
Yep.
One, you got
I
to be real
agree.
with yourself first. If you're not going to be real with yourself and handle what you can handle, like I know quite a few men, because we have a tendency to express ourselves physically, we can go from a relationship maybe to a relationship or have a sexual experience to a sexual experience, and
Yep.
it was nothing more than a physical expression.
Yep.
Just to keep it 100. We're external, women are more internal. We're entering your body, we're entering your soul, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
when that
We're
happens,
the receivers.
there's going to be an exchange of energy one way or another, right?
Right.
Yep. You
If
ain't
you
lying.
can't handle that exchange of energy, you
Nope,
have
I
to be
can't.
real with yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I
I
can't.
go in there thinking, ladies, I've had plenty of female friends back in the day. Hey, you know what? I'm about to put it on his, you know what I'm saying? And he put it on yours, and now all of a sudden he can't get rid of you.
Wow.
You
Yep.
see what I'm saying? So you got to be able to
I
handle
ain't
the emotion. And it goes both ways. It goes both ways. But you got to be
Right.
able to handle that emotion with maturity.
Right.
And then that's how you'll start to find that actual love, especially through communication.
Right.
I agree. I can't handle it.
And I think the reason
That's why
why
that
a
baby
lot
should
of
have waited. Nah.
can I jump in?
Go ahead.
I think the reason why a lot of marriages tend to fail nowadays is because people tend to make the marriage look more like a business than a relationship. A lot of people are so serious, they don't joke around, they don't play. You know, just the other time I was telling a friend of mine, I said, when we were our kids, the reason why we always want to be at the neighbor's house playing with our friends because it was fun to go out and play with them. You know, sometimes parents say you're not going out today, you start crying. Why you crying is because that connection that you and that friend have playing all the time. A lot of people, because we all grown up, they take marriage to be, you know, like hello and goodbye. instead of being playful, being creative. Like, I mean, people should be more creative in their relationship, not just marriage alone, but in their relationship, they should be able to joke around. They should be able to play like kids, like throw pillows or whatever, like play, find your favorite game, your favorite movie. A lot of time people don't know each other. They are married or they're in a relationship, but your best friend know more about your partner than you know about your own partner. So it's basically like you dating a stranger, because the best friend is more of the person in the relationship than you, because people are confiding more in the best friends, than the relationship. And I think like when people are in a sexual relationship, it's good to educate yourself. Okay, like for example, I give myself as an example, right? Before I met my husband, I was planning, I said, you know what, when I get married, this is some of the things I'd like to do with my husband. So I went and bought a lot of books on sex, okay, to educate me on the different positions, the different things, different stuff you can use to spice up your marriage. Like, I mean, you guys can relate.
All
A
right
lot
now.
it's true. They
I
have
like
books, Kama Sutra. I love Kama Sutra. I
I
love
love Kama Sutra too.
Hey,
yeah.
this is fun.
I
This is
even
on the
have a
left.
book on massage,
Okay, y'all. We can't tell all because Miss Dix is like, wait a minute, stop
He's
the
going to the
clock.
left. He's like, I'm jumping good. I'm playing with you good.
So that's why a lot of marriages are failing, because people in relationship, and not just marriages alone, but relationship, they're not being playful. Everybody's so damn serious. It's like,
Serious,
who
yeah.
That's
can
true
laugh?
though. That's true.
Nobody laughs, nobody jokes. My husband spank my ass. Sometimes I run around and spank his. Like, we play around in the house like kids. And some of our kids just stand up and look at us and like, is this our parent or is this our parent? We run around like kids. We play around like, like little kids in the house.
Right.
We joke, and because of that, we have that connection. And people should educate themselves on sex. Make sex more fun than boring. A lot of times people tend to make. Let me tell you something. When I became sexual in my life, right? I asked myself, I said, why are men so obsessed with porn? And then I found the answer. The reason why, because it's interesting, it's fun, it's creative, so to make the sex life more creative, so guys are more interested. So I said to myself, if you want your man to be crazy about you, you better start learning some moves and
Yeah,
start
that's right.
teaching
Yeah,
yourself
right.
on
Or at
sex.
least be down for the get down in any moment's notice.
Yeah.
You know,
Right. Well,
how
that's
to
good
make
stuff.
it more
Hey.
fun for your partner.
That's true. But you know what? And another thing too, I think a lot of times people fail to think about the direction that they're going in as far as their relationship. When Charles made a good point earlier when you were talking about go hard for a year and then go ahead and get married. When you were making that comment, I was thinking in my brain, I was like, in that 1 year, even if you are having sex, there should be a limit on what all that expression looks like. Because what you don't want to do, even if you are having sex, what you don't want to do is get married and then it's like a red light happens.
Because you expected more and you already
Right,
gave it.
happened while y'all was dating. You did all the, you did all the lingerie. Y'all had all this. Y'all had all that. Blah blah blah. So I give you an example, and a friend of mine. This was really interesting. Two friends of mine got married some years ago, and after they got married, we had this interesting marriage conference, and it was interesting because it was a closed conference and only for trans. That was a prereq. If you weren't gonna tell it all, you couldn't come, pretty much. And it was some deep stuff that was talked about in there. It was a couple that was going through this time where the husband had been cheating on and off for like 6 years, and the wife she said, I refuse to leave him. She said, I'm not gonna leave him. She said, I'm trying to work with him. I'm trying to figure out what's causing him to keep gravitating, towards other women or whatever. And they worked through it. They still together now. This was like in 1998. They still married to this day. But there was this other couple that I will never ever forget this. They were dating and they had decided that they were going to have sex up until they got to the point of engagement. This is what they decided, right? But they had it in they had this so thought out. They said they were only going to have sex as like a car gets maintained like every 90 days, 120 days, whatever, right?
Good luck with that.
Now listen, this is what they did. So they had in mind that they were going to date for 2 years. They stayed dating for 2 years. The first 6 months they didn't have sex at all. They didn't do nothing. The next 6 months they they did it like I think she said 4 or 5 times, right? Just kind of like wanting to see what it was like, blah 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 blah. Because he said that he told it. I mean, he said it in the marriage conference. He was like, he said it like Jason said. He said, I was the kind of guy that I couldn't marry a woman that I ain't never been with. He said, I'm sorry. I know that's going to offend y'all because we were at a conference for people of like faith and all that stuff. But he said, I just wasn't that guy. I wasn't wired that way. He was like, I was not going to have sex. So he said, but he didn't want to get overstimulated where he was doing it too much. But he definitely wanted to see what the chick was going to be like, right? So then after that time passed, the last 6 months before they got married, right? They honed in on their engagement, their planning, getting prepared, stuff like that, and they did not have any intercourse at all. Nothing. They did nothing for the time when they were engaged. Now, they got married in the year 2001. This is the year 2019, and they're still married, got 4 or 5 kids, blah, 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 blah. Now, the converse of that is that there was several other couples, maybe 2 or 3 that I can recall, that did not have any kind of physical expression before they got married, and they all their relationships were dissolved for one reason or another. So this topic is so gray. Even though some people try to make it black and white, it's really gray. Because we don't really know what's going to happen after we get married. We don't have any way of knowing if we're going to be able to make it or not, regardless of if we're a virgin, if we're not, if we did, if we didn't. We don't really know. There's no way of really knowing. The only thing you can do is, like Arlene said earlier, is marry for the right reason, which would be love. And if the people love each other, that should be the glue that ties them together for life. That's the hope. But we never know what's going to happen. So all of it is a risk. The sex is a risk. The love is a risk. The deep life is a risk. The vulnerability, all of it is a risk. And if we want to be with somebody, it's going to have to be a decision to say, hey, I'm willing to take this risk with this person in hopes that we get to this place. But the dilemma, I think, is that with us being in this Western society, there's just too many overly stimulating things that are happening. Earlier, like the TV. Then you got what you said.
Just being black, we're over sexualized.
Yep.
Just being black, we're over sexualized.
Yep.
Right.
I agree.
You got other cultures that are scared of us sexually because of all the stigmas that have gone on over time and everything else. Back when we were the stud. You know what I'm saying? And they used us to procreate with the slaves and stuff. A lot of black people, male and female, are over-sexualized. And I mean, if you don't believe me, look at the music. Look at the music videos.
We are very over-sexualized.
Right.
Even the clothing too, the way we dress.
Yep, even down to the way we dress.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that we got these wonderful shapes that we got, does it?
My God, on this evening.
Yeah.
All these curves and whatnot and dust and stuff.
You know?
It don't help at all.
Mr. Dixon, it's already 9:10. I know we got started at about 8:15. But can you start steering the car into the train station, sir, please?
All right.
So over-sexualized comment right there.
Right.
I'm kidding. All
right, so let's go on the we're gonna turn this around, like you said, toward the station. So what we're gonna do with Mr. Bruce, we'll start with you with kind of give us a go out nugget to go on, and we're gonna slide on around after you.
I want to piggyback on something that Arnell said, which is very profound. She said a lot of people treat marriage like a business, right? And I wanted to add to that. I agree with her, so I'm not taking away from what she said. But I wanted to suggest that all relationships are a business.
I believe so.
Marriage is a business. This weekend, Charles, we talked about the commerce of relationships.
Right. What's it?
That's what I'm on. That's what I'm on this week in my meditations. The commerce of relationships.
Relationship. Well,
Anybody watching this live, look up the definition of commerce.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the word sexuality in there.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the word exchange of sex. That's a part. It's a part of it. The commerce of relationships. In business, we use words in business and in relationships. We use words like trust, appreciation. Those are financial terms as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are business terms. So so the commerce of relationship is the value of exchange. And if we are in these relationships, if we are able to see the value in our difference, it's something different about Jay Thibodeau that I see. I see something that's different in him than I see in Charles Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
It's something distinct in Charles Dixon that I see that's different in Jason Baritone.
Mm-hmm.
It's something distinct in each one of us that we are not valuing in our exchange of commerce with each other. We sexing over it. You know what I'm saying? And that is one thing we have to examine, the commerce of relationships. The second thing I would say quickly is what Jay said. We are living in this matrix, y'all. If I can go there, Charles.
Go ahead.
We are living under this, what I call, and what Jay just touched on. He said, you know, how we as black men are over sexualized. But in this country, y'all, we are under an ideology of white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the results of white supremacy from slavery up until now, what it produces in black men is it causes sex for us to be a release because we are not producing nothing else. We don't have visions. We're not creating corporations. We're not making anything. You understand what I'm saying? So I gotta get this thing off me.
Right. That's true.
I don't have a vision.
Right.
I don't have a vision. I don't have a corporation. I don't have employees. I'm not a boss.
Yeah.
The stress that comes from me not being able to produce the way I want to produce. I get a little paycheck. That's cool. Pay the bills, struggle a little bit, whatever. But I'm not producing to my full capacity because I got this matrix on my neck.
Right.
I agree.
And that woman, especially that black woman, is an outlet for me to release that stress. Where it should be, and I'll say this in 20 seconds and I'm out, it should be that we are producing as men, that we have a vision. When you got a vision, when you recognize that you're about to be a nationally syndicated talk show host, when you're about to be the next Steve Harvey, you ain't going to want to put that seed everywhere because you're going to want to protect yourself.
Right.
Amen. Amen.
Right.
Y'all see what Reggie Bush is going through, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So when you know that's happening in that vision, you protect yourself. And one way to protect yourself is with that one woman.
Right.
And with that one woman, you recognize that, girl, after all this business meeting, I done talked for 2 hours. I done put up with Bruce and his long-winded self. When I come home, girl, I need you to get this up out of me. I need to release this. And when I know I can trust you, there's that word again, and I can appreciate you, there's that word again. It's the value of our commerce. You protect me, and I'm only going to want to have sex with you in the context of marriage.
Absolutely. That's good.
Right. Nicole.
Yeah.
That was powerful, man.
You up. That's powerful, Bruce.
Okay. I also think that marriage should be based on love, but I think the actual purpose of marriage is to create generational wealth. So you have to kind of treat it like a business.
That's right.
Deep. I like that.
Treat it like a business.
That's right.
For your children and to leave a legacy
That's right.
for your children. That is what actually, you know, how I feel marriage. That's what marriage. It should be
That's right.
based in love, but that can't be the only thing that
That's right.
Right.
keep you together. Because
Right.
since love, people confuse love as a feeling. So
Mm-hmm.
people always say, "Oh, we fell out of love."
Right.
You know,
They
Right.
fell out of lust.
you know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
So they never really had that base.
Right.
But people that create generational wealth, 9 times out of 10, they're not getting divorced.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. You better
Good
say
stuff.
it.
They keeping that
That's real talk.
in the family,
That
honey.
is
You're
real
right.
talk. That's real
Kids
talk.
over there.
Right.
That's
Okay.
real talk right there.
Kids over there. Okay.
Right.
That's real talk.
We gonna keep it right here because
Right.
ain't no
Right.
gonna get this. Ain't gonna nobody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Labor. And
Right.
I think that is what we should go back to.
Right.
Because
Right.
it was like that in the past.
Right.
Grandpa, he might have been down the street, doing his little thing. But grandmama was like, look, I done been with this man for all these years. Ain't no another woman going, benefit from it.
You sure right.
Yeah.
Right. JW.
Yes, sir. I guess just to kind of keep it simple, I would just say that no matter where your stance is on either before marriage or not before marriage, I do believe ultimately that conversation needs to have been taking place prior to.
Right.
Yes.
If you don't talk about it up front and be, brutally honest.
Right.
And I think that's probably the major issue is people don't want to seem one way or the other. You don't want to seem like a nympho. You don't want to seem like you're a prude. But at the same time, if you don't talk about it, everybody goes in with a preconceived disposition. And then when the reality kicks in, it's just like, well, I wasn't expecting that, or I was expecting more. You leave people confused and frustrated.
People don't do marriage negotiations. That's why.
Right. We don't talk that's because we feel like, oh, I love you so much, it doesn't matter. No, it matters. Talk.
Needs to be discussed. How many times a week you want to have sex?
Love ain't gonna get you through. Love ain't gonna get you through when y'all frustrated and mad with each other.
You gotta have.
I know people say you gotta have love you do need the aspect of love. But as we said earlier, love is not a feeling. So it doesn't matter if you feel love or not. If you love me and we have agreed to this commitment, then we've agreed to this commitment. Period.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man.
I've counseled many people, and I tell everybody I even get into a counseling session with is, marriages don't break up because of money, infidelity. They break up because of selfishness. Somebody in a relationship said, I'm tired. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Right.
You can converse yourself out of any situation
right.
if you choose to. But the fact that we don't choose to, that's because we don't have the conversation up front. So we get upset and it's like, look, I'm done. I'm tired. But if you had talked about it up front, you may not have had the problems you have.
Good stuff. Miss Cruz.
Hi, everyone. What I want to say.
This is
okay.
Good. This is good.
Yeah, like so much information. So
Yes.
this is really interesting, and I love the topic. I wanted to address a topic here. Well, when it comes to self-control, a lot of people, some people have self-control, and a lot of people are struggling with that. And especially nowadays in our society, it's extremely difficult to have self-control because, on social media, you see everybody almost naked, even showing abs, and muscles and they're wearing other sweatpants and stuff like that.
Boy.
The sweatpants with the words that a male can wear. It just say hello.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people are struggling with that, right? Even if it's time to have self-control if they're not in a relationship.
Yeah.
And they say, well, I'm gonna wait, for the right person and stuff like that. But when they see all this sexuality in front of them, either on the street when they walk, or maybe at the grocery store, or on Facebook or somewhere, and then they have to try to erase that stuff out of their mind, right? And then another thing I want to add, a lot of marriages need to be more playful. So a lot of people need. Hola, mi amor. ¿Cómo estás? Just got in the room. So a lot of marriages need to be more playful, right? People are being more serious. I know I really like the idea when you guys say it's a little bit more business. Why? Because you have to manage the family, manage the budget, pay the bills and stuff like that. But I mean, just between man and a woman, right? I don't think people should take it for business. They should be more friendly, playful, more creative, right? Because a lot of time people are having less sex. When you're in a relationship, your body belongs to the person you're in a relationship with, and also the person's body belongs to you. So when that person have a sexual need, I mean, you should be willing to give it to them when they need it, because your body now belongs to them. And when you have a sexual need, they should be ready to give it to you because their body belongs to you. So the rules change in society when they said if you say no, then that is rape. But if you in a relationship, like I mean a sexual relationship, a long-term sexual relationship, or if you're married and your partner wants sex, I don't think that is considered rape. It is rape when it is a guy you don't know and you didn't approve of. You get what I'm saying? If you do not approve of that guy to be in a sexual relationship with him, that is rape. But if you're married and your husband wants sex and you say no, or because he didn't buy you a brand new pair of shoes, or the money he said he was going to give you, you didn't receive it, that's being selfish because now your body belongs to him. So if he wants you sexually, you should be available, But a lot of things are changing for us with all these rules and restrictions when it comes to relationship and marriage, and it's making people desperate. And that's why some people go out and cheat. I had a situation, not gonna say names, but I had a pretty close situation with a friend of mine that I know. Her husband cheated on her, and when I went there to talk to both of them, the first question I asked the woman, how often do you give your husband sex? And she said, oh, that's not what I'm talking about. He's busy and I'm busy. I said, but you made him desperate because if you give him sex, he's gonna want it. And if you can't give it to him, he's gonna go out there and find it, and that's why he went to cheat, because maybe you kept him for 3, 4, 5 months, and just because you're busy, doesn't mean that he wasn't starving and desperate. So you made him hungry. So if you go out and eat, it's your fault, So people should be able to connect with one another and not be selfish. Just because you don't want sex, it doesn't mean the other person doesn't want it. So if the other person wants sex and maybe you have a different way of getting yourself turned on, then tell the person, you know what? Though I'm not in the mood for that, but maybe you can put me in the mood by the way you touch me, or you can kiss me there, you can touch me there, and that would spark up my fire, and we can start burning together. You know what I mean? But a lot of times people don't want to carry the next. And then we want to talk about weight gain. A lot of people pay so much money. They advertise about the gym and go to the gym to stay fit. But sex keep you fit. Because when you have regular sex, your body will be toned. You're not going to put in all that extra weight. But the reason why people are gaining so much weight because they're having less sex in their lives. So the metabolism is not high because they're not keeping the body going. The body is on a slow motion instead of on a fast pace. And I mean, sex is the best exercise anybody can get. Trust me, by the time you're done, you're going to be sweating.
Jason, good stuff.
That's talking about me? All right. Well, there's two of us. I'll just make it sure. So basically, the fact that I've gained a little weight, that means I need to get busy. No, very good points. I mean, the real thing, like I said, man, you got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to handle things with maturity, because it takes more than communication. It takes more than money. It takes more than just love itself. I mean, you got to still
More than
want to be there. You got to have somebody who can stimulate you as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There you goes. See, she just told him, she just told him a
Right.
minute ago. There you go. So I mean, when it comes down to this topic, there's really no right or wrong answer. When it comes, so it really comes down to how you
No, we having a talk show.
handle things in your life and what you're dealing with. And like I said, I like to throw out the word maturity and stuff because, a lot of people, they can't handle things from a mature standpoint once things start to get a little rough.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to express yourself in a positive manner. And if you can't do that, then that's probably why a lot of people's sex life look the way that it looks. Whether they're having it or not having it, if they're a married couple or if you're single and you're moving through life and dating and stuff, that's probably why you're having sex and not being fulfilled. You're basically hopping from bed to bed and you're looking for a particular feeling and you're not getting it. At some point, you got to be real with yourself and say, what is it that you're really looking for? And if you're ready for it.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
Wow.
good.
P Coffee.
I don't know, Mr. Dixon. I don't know what to say.
Oh my God. All right.
Now
So
she wants to be shy.
I'm just teasing. Man, this turned out to be really, really great. You guys gave some incredible points. Wow, this was awesome. It was really, really awesome. The one thing that I can really think of, and I believe Nicole said it. I wanted to piggyback. Her and Bruce said it about the concept of building the structure, the solid foundation, and leaving that footprint in the earth to say that we've been here. I think that a lot of us are missing that component as far as why we even want to be married. I remember when before I got married, my mom and dad set us down and said, what is your marriage going to present to the world? Is what my parents asked. What is your presentation to the world? What is the definition of why you guys are together? What are you going to, when you walk in the room, they're going to say, oh, there goes the Brown family. They are blah, 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 blah. So I remember that defining moment that has led me up to this point. He's deceased and all that good stuff now, but literally before I marry again, that defining moment is going to always be in the middle of my brain to say, why are we doing this? And who is going to benefit from this union? Because when you come together and you come together, it's two of y'all. So two of you guys, that's multiplication already. You went from 1 to 2, so you should be able to continue the multiplication. So definitely, I thought that was epic when you guys talked about that with the unions. We got to know why we're doing what we're doing in the first place. I think that's very paramount for us to be successful in these endeavors. Forget about all that other stuff and think about why you're doing what you're doing and who is going to profit from it long after we have left this earth. Is our name going to still live on after the dash? That's what's important. That's the big picture of marriage and why we should be coming together. Mr. Dixon.
All right. So my last thought on it would simply be, I feel that abstinence was God's gift to us to protect our emotions, our mental, to limit our experiences of comparison, with the idea of solidifying the union. It was in place to protect marriage. Right. That's why he gave it to us in the beginning, to say, look, if you all do this, you're not going to have all of these issues and mental concerns that come with sharing your body out of context. Right. That's what happens. We have got this whole thing now. We in it, like we have started it, and so we in it, and so now we have these expectations. We got these needs. It's like we're like drug addicts on the corner. I need some sex. I haven't had none in a couple of days. And we're like drug addicts, and so we got OD.
It's like I've seen
sex. When really it wasn't God's intent for us to even try the drug. But now we've tried it outside of the union, and we all dilute, like I said earlier, messed up. So if we want to get back to that, you can always, like I said, if anybody want to choose to reset their relationship, you can. You just choose to make a communicative decision together and just say we're going to reset it from there and go forward.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much. A couple of our panelists had to go ahead and exit for the evening, but you guys, we did get started a little bit late. And we definitely apologize for the lateness of the hour as far as us getting started late. We had a couple of issues before we aired tonight. But thank you guys so much for being on. Jason Williams was with us. Arlene Cruz was with us. We have Nicole Williams in the building, Jason Thibodeau, and of course, Bruce Oliver, and my honored co-host, Mr. Charles Dixon from Unique Perspective Love Talk Radio. Definitely, we guys appreciate you so much. We will be back on next week, airing live, starting Monday with Mr. Dixon's show, Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, The Conversation Room, and back here on Tuesday night for another episode of The Hot Seat at 8 p.m. Central Standard, 8 p.m. Central Standard, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 6 Pacific Time. You guys, thank you so much for your time. We honor and salute and appreciate each of you. We look forward to having you guys back on with us in the future. Have an incrable evening, and we'll see y'all soon. Peace and blessings.
All right, sir.
Good night, everybody.
Thank y'all for coming on. All right, Bruce,
Thank
Jason,
y'all so
Nicole.
much.
Okay, yeah.
Have a good one.
All right. Good night.